So here in New England, we recently celebrated the 250th ride of Paul Revere, and it was on TV, a lot of pomp and circumstance. But one question that kept coming to my mind is, why is this still happening? One of the things that actually led to that ride by Paul Revere was this thought of taxation without representation. And so as we start to look back on the past 250 years, what's really changed? And so let's examine that and see if we can actually come up with some answers to that really big question. Just a little bit of an overview. If we go back and we think about colonial America, one of the things that's happened in 1765 is that the British Parliament passed the Stamp Act, and that was an effort to tax the colonists for some of their war debts. Obviously, the colonists did not agree to this and had some other concerns and thought that their tax dollars could be spent in other places. So by 1773, this is what led to the Boston Tea Party, a protest of taxation without representation. We have our American Revolution. We become this free and independent nation with the Declaration of Independence in 1776. And in that Declaration of Independence, unjust taxation was one of the key grievances. And then as a result of that, it allowed us to have some broader impacts on society. Suffrage wasn't just something that, was experienced by, a few and the poor and the enslaved. It went further and started to extend into some of the male property owners as well. So that led to more representation. The Declaration of Independence started a constitutional democracy. So we created this series of elected representatives that would provide representation. And in the Declaration of Independence, we cited that if you have taxation without consent, you are a tyrant. So that's just living in tyranny. However, even after that, right? So even after this Declaration of Independence, we still saw that many of groups were still disenfranchised decades after that. Black Americans, women, Native Americans were denied voting rights for decades after that independence was taken. Even today, District of Columbia has 700,000 plus residents that have no voting representation in Congress, but they do pay federal taxes. And then we have 3.6 million Americans among our U.S. territories that also have no congressional representation at all. And so again, just with the 700,000 folks that are in Washington, D.C., that's $30 billion that's paid in taxes without any representation in our Senate for the D.C. residents. Puerto Rico has 3.2 million Americans that don't have any type of voting representation at all. Guam, 170,000 citizens, mostly military, who don't have any real representation at all. Virgin Islands, 106,000 Americans paying taxes without representation. American Samoa, another 55,000 Americans limited citizenship rights, paying taxes, and still without the representation that they're looking for. And so we've seen this happen in a couple of different ways. We asked for DC statehood. We saw that from 2020 to 2023. Puerto Rico for their statehood and those referendums for them not to be a territory anymore. Constitutional challenges to just make sure that there's easier ways for representation and it's not so ambiguous. And then make sure that this isn't just about political opposition, that it is basically what the country was founded off of, and we should be able to move forward. So even in 2023 and beyond, we have millions of Americans that remain taxed without representation. Same exact thing that led to the American Revolution 250 years ago. It's a really big issue because part of the democratic principle is that we have equal representation for all citizens. And so we need to take action as best as we can. That happens through reforms like voting, advocacy, and more importantly, through the education that we're hopefully going to be able to receive as a result of videos and other videos like this. So I hope this helps to provide some information on something that has been going on for far too long and probably needs to end sooner rather than later.